Welcome back to the Justin Rombough podcast. March is finally coming to an end, and we have gone from 68 teams down to 4. Now, as you guys know, we have Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn in all number 1 seeds. All 4 of them made it to the Final Four. This is the first time since 2008. 2008 was the only time that this has occurred, so this is the second time in history. Back in the 2008 March Madness, KU defeated Memphis in overtime. That was the year that Steph Curry led Davidson to the Elite Eight as a 10 seed. And yeah, let's get into the games that happened this past weekend. We saw Florida beat Texas Tech, probably in the best game of the weekend, 84-79. Walter Clayton Jr., he has really helped his draft stock in this tournament. Florida, 44% from the field, 38% from 3. Clayton with 30 points. JT Toppin and Darren Williams combined for 43 points for Texas Tech. They put up a good fight, probably the best fight of anybody this weekend. And the Gators were able to move on. Their first Final Four, I believe, in quite some time. I think it was their first Elite Eight since 2014. But they've built a great squad this season. Duke beat Alabama by 20 points, 85-65. Duke is the best team in the country. Alabama had that record-breaking performance in the Sweet 16, setting the record for most threes with 25 in a game. Unfortunately, that hot streak came to a screeching halt against the Blue Devils. They shot 35% from the field and 25% from 3. Cooper Flagg didn't even have his best game, but his right-hand man, Con Knipple, had an amazing game. He's going to be a lottery pick as well. I think that this Duke team is better than the Duke team of 2019 with Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish. I think the cohesion that this Duke team has, when Tyrese Proctor is probably your third or fourth best player, you're doing something right. You have Cooper Flagg is the certified number 1 player. There's no question about that. Knipple is one of the best, if not the best, Robins in college basketball, being the second best player on the team. Malawach, he's a dominant big. He's going to get drafted in the lottery. Obviously, Proctor coming off the bench, or not coming off the bench, but not being in the big 3, he can get hot at any minute. And it goes on and on. John Shire's done a great job with the program, taking over for Coach K. And overall, Duke's been the best team in this tournament. I have Duke winning it all. I think they're going to just dominate these next couple games. Arizona probably put up the best fight of anybody. Next up on the slate, we had Houston and Tennessee. Houston was able to shut down Caleb Lanier. He was 4 of 18 from the field, 2 of 12 from 3, held to 17 points. Tennessee as a team just could not get anything going offensively. 29% from the field, 17% from 3. You're not going to win many games shooting subpar 30% from the field. Houston, dominating performance, 69 points, held Tennessee to 50. Held them, I believe, to 15 points at half. So Tennessee was really struggling. Houston's defense is swarming. I think Houston and Duke will be a good game. I think Duke's offense and the amount of talent they have will just be too much for Kelvin Sampson and the Houston squad. And last but not least, Auburn and Michigan State. Auburn was able to get the victory, 70-64. Michigan State, 34% from the field, 30% from 3. Johnny Brome showed why he was the best player in the SEC with 25 points and 14 boards. And a lot of people have been complaining this tournament that there was no Cinderella runs, but looking at the landscape of the whole season, there's been 3 or 4 dominant teams all year, and they've separated themselves in this tournament. 4 number 1 seeds, Duke versus Houston, Auburn versus Florida. I think the Auburn-Florida game will be a lot closer than the experts think. I think it'll come down to a final shot. I think Walter Clayton, what he's done, I really like him in that Final Four game. I think Florida will end up taking it and taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Duke ending up winning that one. What a college basketball season it has been. March is one of the best times of the year. And Cooper Flagg has cemented himself as the number one pick, one of the greatest 18-year-olds ever to come into college basketball. I love his game. Been watching his short rolls, the way he's able to throw the lobs, his mid-range, the growth that he's had this season, going from coming into the college basketball landscape as a 17-year-old and doing what he's been able to do all year. He's going to be the National Player of the Year. I would be intrigued to see if he comes back, but I think if you're able to win a championship for Duke, I feel like there's no reason for you to come back. I think he's going to be the number one pick. Depending on what team he goes to will determine, honestly. I think if it would be a very interesting factor if, say, the Wizards were to secure the number one pick in the draft lottery and he were to come back. That would be very interesting because coming into the league as a rookie, I would not want to be in Washington. Their team is a disaster. I would not want to be in that. And he's making nearly $5 million a year with his NIL. So there's the option now to stay in college and make money and not end up trapped in a Wizards environment for the first 5 years of your NBA playing career. So I think he's got options. I think some teams that he could end up at that would do him well. I think Charlotte, him and LaMelo could be a very, very intriguing pairing along with Brandon Miller. I think Chicago could be interesting. Some of the lower teams in the league. I think one of the great things about him is he can adapt to any situation. He has multiple facets of his game. His passing ability has really shown through, his rebounding, his scoring from all levels. I think in the NBA, it really depends on the situation that you get drafted into. Obviously, looking at like Jason Tatum was drafted into a Celtics team that was already really good. But then some other players like Zion drafted into a disaster in New Orleans. It really just depends on the situation. And Cooper has the ability to kind of pick and choose at this point because he can make money in college. So he has the ability to control his own destiny, and we'll have to see on draft night what happens. But I mean, this tournament's been good. Obviously, the Cinderellas make it more fun in the beginning, but I think this Final Four, the quality of basketball is going to be in the ultimate highest tier that we'll ever have. I think Duke's the top of college basketball, but these other three number one seeds, they're going to put up a fight. I think that Florida-Auburn game will be amazing. Duke and Houston, if Houston wins, they'll be the epitome of defense being able to win championships, but I think John Shire and this Duke squad is at a completely different level. One of the best teams I've ever seen in college basketball, absolutely dominant. They haven't lost a game since they lost one game in February to Clemson, but other than that, I think they've won like 30 out of their last 31 games, or they've won like just a ridiculous amount of games this season. It's been fun to watch. Cooper Flagg has cemented himself as one of the best number one picks, probably since Anthony Edwards in 2020. But we've had a string of great number one picks. Cade Cunningham and the crew. Last year's draft class was not as typically, it's not ideal. The draft class last year was not ideal. Alex Sarr, Reese Shea. This Rookie of the Year race is one of the least exciting ones that's ever been. But I think this year's class has a lot of hype around it. Cooper Flagg, Knipple, Ace Bailey, and Dylan Harper. We didn't even see them in the tournament. They're going to surprise a lot of people in Summer League. It'll be fun. Can't wait for it. We'll have some stuff coming out on this channel. Vince Staples rankings, and more content to come. NFL draft is right around the corner. NBA playoffs will be heating up here shortly. Thanks for tuning into the show. We are on YouTube and Spotify. Give us a follow, share with your friends, and until next time.